Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Rookie Card Collector 123 video. In today's episode, we're going to take a look at the top 10 early and low pop cards for another Baseball Hall of Famer. Today's subject is going to be Mordecai Three-Finger Brown, one of the top early 20th century pitchers in Major League Baseball. Pitched primarily for the Chicago Cubs during the first decade of the 20th century, and leader of the pitching staff that won multiple National League pennants, and 1906 had the best team winning percentage of all time until the 2000s, when the Seattle Mariners finally topped that record. So Mordecai Brown, the first card we're going to look at would be considered his true rookie card, and that would be the 1904 to 1911 Sporting Life cabinet. These are cataloged as W600 in the American Card Catalog. These are about 5.5 or 6 inches by about 8.5 inches tall. It's got a player image in the center, and then it's a thick cardboard backing around it. And underneath the player image in the middle is the Sporting Life logo. The Sporting Life printed these in 4 different distinct series. There was a type, and they would go by types. So there's a type 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4. Mordecai Brown first appeared in the Type 3 set, which was first issued in 1904. And then he was also issued in the Type 4s, which began coming out in 1906. And each of those would run up until the 1911 season. They were still being offered up until that time at the Sporting Life publication. These were mail-aways. You got coupons, you sent them in, and you can choose, as long as they had it in stock, choose whichever player you wanted. So these, although they're all very rare and scarce, the easiest ones to find tend to be the biggest name Hall of Famers. Because, of course, if you can choose anybody you wanted, most people chose their favorite player, their favorite team's player, and that tends to be the best player. So Mordecai Brown is not at the level of Ty Cobb or Honus Wagner, but a surefire Hall of Famer, and like I said, one of the great early 20th century pitchers. So only a few examples known for this one. Population totals for the between Type 3s and 4s would be under 10 between PSA and SGC. And this would be the earliest Mordecai Brown rookie card option. There's one other 1904 Mordecai Brown produced, and that one is doesn't meet my criteria for a rookie card status because it's a one-of-a-kind item. It's a 1904 Allegheny Card Company Mordecai card. These were just printed in blue and white. It came with a board game, and this is believed to have been a test issue, as only one set is known to exist, one card of every player in the set. So it's assumed that these were intended to be released as a board game, and for whatever reason, never were. So this one test issue set is the only examples of each player out there. It's obviously just about an impossible card to find. Next up for Mordecai Brown would be a 1906 Fan Craze. He's in the National League set, of course, playing for the Chicago Cubs. The American League set initially was believed to be a 1904 set, but has since been determined to also be 1906. So Mordecai Brown, the first reasonably available card that you have a chance to pick up is probably this Fan Craze National League set. These are from a playing card game, again, similar to the Allegheny cards. These were actually released, and obviously not a common, easy card to find, but these are much more available than the first 2 cards that we looked at. Next one we're going to talk about is the 1907 to 1909 Deitch postcard, Mordecai Brown. Deitch put out two different team series during that time frame from '07 to '09. The Tigers were winning American League pennants, and the Cubs were winning National League pennants during that period. And they chose those two teams. So Mordecai Brown, of course, appears in the Chicago Cubs Deitch postcard set. And those are full, it's a full bleed photo, so there's no borders. The image goes all the way out to the edges of the card. And the back of the postcard has the typical postcard indica on the back and the Deitch advertising, along with a brief bio for Brown. Next one we're going to mention for Brown is another 1907 issue, and it's another postcard set. And this was also put out strictly for Chicago Cub players. This one's called the Grignon Chicago Cubs postcard series, and this is again 1907. These Grignons had a little stuffed teddy bear. That's kind of how you can recognize them toward the top of the postcard. And it's a mostly green background postcard. The bear was white. It has an image of the player on it. And then the back of it is the typical postcard back. These are quite a bit rarer than the Deitch postcards. The Deitch postcards, just to mention, between the Cubs and the Tigers, the Cubs are much tougher to find. They seem to print many more of the Tigers than Chicago. Next Mordecai Brown we're going to talk about is the 1907, the Police Gazette, which was a local newspaper, focused a lot on sports during the early part of the 20th century, the first decade or the first 2 decades of the 20th century. And during baseball season, they would produce these giant oversized supplements that measured about 13 or 14 inches by about 18 or 19 inches tall. And Mordecai Brown was the subject of one of those Police Gazette supplements, again, during the 1907 season. Those are extremely hard to find. Populations on those probably less than 5 known. And they are too large to be graded or encapsulated by any of the third-party grading companies. Next one we're going to talk about, I've never actually seen in person, but it's on the checklist that I have. It's 1907 Winthrop Moving Pictures. It's another postcard. I believe there's other Chicago Cubs players as part of the series, but Brown appears in there. The image is black and white. The back of the postcard is a little more decorative than the others, the Deitch and the Grignon. But very rare. Like I said, I've never seen one. There's probably only a couple maybe that exist. Next one I'm going to talk about is a very popular postcard set, but a very rare set. And again, populations from here are going to be under 10 and maybe under 5 on some of the players even. This is the 1908 to 1909, so issued over 2 years, Rose Company postcards. Another set where the good part of the card is a green baseball field background with the player's portrait in a circle in the center of the postcard. And then it's got some gold ornate trimming around the image. Like I said, these are very rare. They did include just about all the biggest stars from the era. So there's a Ty Cobb, there's a Honus Wagner, there's a Walter Johnson, a couple of other stars. Tris Speaker is on the checklist that's in the standard catalog of vintage baseball cards, but it's believed that the Speaker card does not exist and would have been his earliest true rookie if it was. Next one we're going to talk about is another Chicago Cubs postcard series. It's a 1908. It's called Chicago Cubs Shield postcard. Put out by a photography studio known as Shield in the Chicago area. And again, just picturing Cubs National League players from that 1908 season. And the last one we're going to talk about, the 10th card from Mordecai Brown, is from 1909, so this will be a year later. Now you start to get into the tobacco era, and the card I'm going to mention is the Ramley T204. That's another black and white circular portrait image of Brown in the center. This one's got gold ornate trim around it, around the borders, around the portrait. And then the back either has a Ramley advertising, a TTT, which is another cigarette brand besides Ramley. Some of the cards have that advertising. Those are rarer. And then also some of them are blank backs. So the Ramley would be a pretty scarce, but not as impossible to find as a few of the other cards we've talked about today. Populations on them are probably in the 20 to 30 sort of range for somebody like Mordecai Brown, maybe a little bit less. So that's going to wrap up today's episode on one of the best early 20th century pitchers, Mordecai Brown. Like I said, primarily Chicago Cubs, and part of that 1906 Cubs team that set the all-time winning percentage record and number of wins in a season, until broken by the Seattle Mariners in the 2000s. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode, got some good information out of it. Have a great day, and I'll catch you guys again on the next one.